Welcome to Music Forever, a podcast by the New Horizons International Music Association. I am Irene Cohen. David Morse is a chemical engineer from Keene, New Hampshire. He is the husband of Donna Morse, the founder of the Monadnock New Horizons band. Dave shares his story about his love for music, his interest in playing low bass instruments, such as his beautiful upright bass, his electrical bass, and his baritone sax. In order to learn how to play a melodious instrument, Dave decided to learn to play the flute in Donna's New Horizons band. Dave describes the joys and challenges of playing in the band under Donna's baton. Dave volunteers to play in all kinds of bands whenever and wherever he can. In his words, he doesn't do idle very well. Whether it is playing his instruments or assisting setting up the stage, he can be found everywhere during music camps. Dave is one of the moderators for the NHIMA virtual online classes. Information about the virtual programming can be found on the NHIMA website. Well, hello everyone from Snow Pond at the New England Adult Music Camp in Maine. It is August 2024, and I'm here with Dave Morse.
Hi, Irene. Thanks for having me. And it's a beautiful day because we're at music camp, and how can that not be a good place to be?
It is the best place to be.
So you always seem to have good people around. What goes along with good people and fun people to be with is the staff, your faculty. I'm really impressed with the way New Horizons picks faculty to work with these adults, and particularly even older adults in general. They have to meld in and they have to understand the audience that they're working with. And when that happens, like we have here at Snow Pond and we have at other camps, it just breaks down the barriers. We were here in 2013, one of the first year, I'm told, when it was a New Horizons camp. Diane Muffet was heading it up with Linda. We got a cold call from Diane because Donna was a community band director. Donna and I talked and we decided, let's go try it. While we were here, Roy Ernst got Donna's ear and explained what New Horizons was. By the time we left here, he had convinced her to go home and start a New Horizons program. And a year later, Donna had one started.
Tell us a little bit how you got into music. Was that through Donna, or did you do something before you met her?
Oh, I've had music in my life since I was a child. I recall, kind of singing along to my mom's record albums, doo-wop type of popular music, probably from the 50s, because I was born in 1960. At the end of fourth grade was when you got a chance to try instruments, band instruments. Orchestra wasn't a choice. My mom and dad both were high school musicians. That was the end of their playing careers. I ended up playing saxophone, and I just started on that journey. And that journey doesn't really go very far. There were, a lot of saxophone players, and I was not at the top of the list. Well, the band director said to me, he said, would you like to play baritone sax? So I became the baritone sax player for the 7th grade band. I've played it on and off since then. I own my own now. My musical journey kind of like this. It was seeding itself through high school, and it bloomed while I was in college. And then it went into hibernation when the kids came along, and then it has reemerged over the last 20 years since we've moved back to New England. It ebbed and flowed, but I've never been a professional. I am an amateur musician. Donna, having chosen the professional route, has given me opportunities to play that a lot of people just don't get.
What a wonderful thing to have around you. I think a lot of people think of you as a professional.
There are people that do that because at here at this camp and at the other New Horizons camps that Donna has been faculty at, I often fill in and help out with whatever ensemble might need something that I can do, whether it's bass, the saxophones, or flute. So I make sure people know that I am a degreed chemical engineer who has spent my whole career supporting my family as a chemical engineer. Our boys both played instruments. We played as a family a few times as a jazz quartet. When Donna has been running the Nelsontown band now for like 20 years, the boys played in the band with me under her direction for years. They were doing 20 gigs a summer, and Mom was the director.
I have only ever seen you play on bass, baritone sax, the low instruments.
Right.
Any reason why you feel attracted to that particular sound or genre?
Either Donna or my mom, maybe both at different times, had told me, you would often hum the bass lines to songs that were on the radio. So maybe there is some inherent liking of the bottom. And in high school started my electric bass career. Only in the last 8 years under New Horizons, I want to play a melody. So it was either clarinet or flute, and I chose flute. There's flutes and clarinets and all sorts of saxophones all over our house. So I've been playing flute now in New Horizons for 7 or 8 years.
I remember the first time you appeared at one of our camps. It would have been in Mont Tremblant. You came with your stand-up?
Yep, stand-up bass is a fine description of it.
Just even to transport that thing, you need a big car. It takes a lot to sign up and bring this instrument along with me. That is remarkable.
We always have to have one car that fits the bass. The 7/8 bass, it's got the big sound, and it's my size. So you put that in, and you put an amplifier in with it, and you put the electric bass, which I still own, my electric bass that I bought when I was 16 years old. I just adore it. And then if I have to take the baritone sax, there's almost no room for Donna's clothes and her suitcase, but somehow we make sure that her suitcase doesn't get left on the sidewalk. I play my basses when I play jazz. I tend to play the saxophones when I'm playing concert band music. I love big band jazz. It just makes the hair on the back of my neck stand up when you're doing the shout chorus towards the end and the whole band is grooving, and it just is a great feeling to be part of that. Saxophone quartets are so close to exciting me as much as big band jazz does, because I've always just loved the sound of those 4 saxophones.
So Dave, in a previous podcast with Donna, she told us a little bit about the New Horizons band that she started in Keene.
Yeah, it's called the Monadnock New Horizons Band. Monadnock is the mountain in our region. We often refer to the whole area around Keene as the Monadnock region.
What has that experience been like as a spouse of the person who starts up this band? You're also playing in that band. And what is it that you've seen with people that have joined the band?
I've been playing for Donna for 20 years. I started with mentoring when the New Horizons Band was young, helping people get started on saxophones or bass players come in and play tuba parts. Donna is a teacher of flute, clarinet, saxophone. So that was the most difficult thing. I had to have her teach me how to hold my embouchure, and every time that it started to go out of whack, I'd have to go back. I say, hey, Don, can you come help me figure out what has slipped. And she comes in and she tries to work with me. So I don't know how hard it is on her, but for me, it's always a little difficult to have to bring her in as the instructor. But we get through it because we have a very respectful relationship between each other. So she doesn't look down on me, and I just get over my pride and let her come in and help me. The idea is that there are many adults that will try this in the band and just say, no, I can't go back to this level of incompetence. And they just say no. It's just not what they want to work at this point. But there are others, so many more others, that just say, oh, yeah, this was so much fun. I'm just so glad you're going to give me a chance to try it again. And then there's this whole group of particularly women who weren't allowed to play certain instruments. They weren't allowed to be drummers. They weren't allowed to be tuba players. You know, these male instruments that they were, and now they can come back and play anything that they always wanted to play. Donna's percussion section is all women because they always wanted to be drummers and they were never allowed to be drummers. And the atmosphere, as set up by New Horizons, is your best is good enough, and there has to be a social aspect. But there's very few rules. But one of the rules, if there is a rule, is there has to be a social component somehow into your band because people want that. We figure you can supply the music part, but don't forget to supply the social aspect. People love the social part of this thing, so...
Yeah, that's when the real gelling happens of a band, is over a cup of coffee.
And you know, I should know that, and I've learned that again, but in the world of corporate chemistry, which is where I spent my career, it was never cultivated.
And there's something about people who love music and who love making music. They're like-minded, and they enjoy the relationships they are forming in these bands. They don't just come to make music, they come to connect.
This was something that was eye-opening for me in my mindset. Donna notices when we're out and about in Keene that there are people who are socializing outside of the band who she's pretty sure only know each other from the band.
So here we are at a band camp. You've been at many and very active during these camps, both helping out, but also learning. And if you would want to have to describe this to somebody who's never been to a band camp, what would you tell people? What's happening in these wonderful music camps?
First thing is it's a continuation of what we just spoke about. The social aspect of these camps is great. I think you only come to these camps if you want to experience music and social stuff. Hey, it's band camp with cocktail hours. Like, how bad can that be? Then the music is serious, though. We try to get better. That allows you to be a little bit better of a musician in some way or another, whether it's technical, whether it's hearing, whether it's just exposure to new repertoire, but you're going to have a good time doing it.
It's absolutely true. And then faculty and participants mingle and have friendships. And a nice thing to see is how faculty gets to meet each other through these camps and gives them opportunities to then meet outside of these camps, start groups, meet with other groups. It's really heartwarming to see how that is developing as well at the professional level.
You build your network of connections. Whether you ever use them or not, who knows? It's a sweet spot for retired musicians.
NHIMA, or the New Horizons International Music Association, is also doing virtual events, which started during the pandemic when, of course, the ensembles couldn't get together physically. And that started off as just sort of a cute idea. And now it has developed into an entire expectation from our members. You know, and some of us voluntarily behind the scenes rolling this out, and you have offered your very significant help in assisting moderating these sessions, which may seem an easy thing to do for those who are watching the event, but as a matter of fact, there are certainly some technical skills required. How has that been for you to participate in those virtual events?
I do believe you were president during the COVID debacle. So congratulations, and thank you very much, Irene, for all the effort that you put in then trying to keep the thing afloat because nobody knew anything about what was happening next week, let alone next year. And you have continued with these virtual events. I like a challenge. As you know, I said earlier, I don't do idle well, and I have a competitive streak. I asked Donna, there's a request for some assistance in moderating. And I said, do you see that this might fit me? And I said, I think it's going to fit me. And
it is wonderful because really these were skills that you and I had never had before. We just learned. You read up, we helped each other. You came up with some tricks of the trade, and it is exciting to learn new things. So for anyone out there who would be interested to help us out with anything, really anything, whatever you would like to be challenged by, or just because you know you're good at it, let us know. We can always use some extra volunteers. If you were to have to tell somebody who says, oh, I hear your wife is conducting in this band, I never played an instrument, it looks pretty scary to me, or I really haven't played for 40 or 50 years, what should I do? What would you tell them?
So the first thing I would say is, if this looks like fun to you, try it, but it's not going to be a cakewalk. Learning to read music, play notes in rhythm, control your sound, blend. These are all great challenges, but they are challenges. But the reward can be amazing. If you're willing to try and see, we can help you. Do it. Try it. There's no long-term commitment. Huge fun. And if it moves your soul, try it. Because you're going to be really glad that you did.
Yeah. There are many people here at this music camp who started to play their first instrument only a few years ago. And here they are playing with a group of people who may have played for many years. They may be professionals, retired professionals. You just join and you do what you can. Your best is good enough. Each week you get a little bit better. Yes, it is a challenge. You're right, it's not a cakewalk.
Going back to younger people, particularly adolescents, the music, arts, theater, it's all so important. Keep it as part of the public school curriculum. When you travel, why do you travel? Do you travel to see who the CPAs are in the next town? Or do you travel to see the buildings that were built? Do you travel to see the orchestras or the jazz groups that are playing? Do you go to the art museum? Do you go to the theater? Do you go to New York to go to Broadway? Yeah, look where you're going. It's the arts. Think about what our society would be like.
From your mouth straight to the ears of those who organize educational systems, not just here in the United States, but globally. There's a trend that maybe this is just not of much value to be publicly funded. And of course, the opposite is true. Kids have so many avenues now to really enter the world of arts, but there's also unbelievable amount of pressure on them to do other stuff. We have young players here.
We do.
And they are young. They're not old young. And they love playing with us, again, because of the various levels, and we're having a ball. So it is not just for old people to join New Horizons. Well, Dave, I would like to thank you for all the assistance that you give to all of us, be it online or here live in these camps, with all the beautiful bass sound that comes from the back of the band. And of course, also for everything that you mean to the people out there who cannot come to these live events, but love to participate in the virtual events.
You're very welcome, Irene. I choose to spend some of my time trying to advocate and help people that really want to do music.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's that important. Yeah. We are doing it for the love of it.
And the return is much bigger than what you give, ultimately. So, yeah. Well, thank you so much. We have to go to happy hour.
That's right. It's happy hour time.
I would like to thank David Morse for giving this interview. If you would like to find out more about Dave and Donna's Monadnock New Horizons band, please visit their website at www.nhband.org. Music for this podcast by Mary Riddle, swag on. Thanks for joining us for this episode of Music Forever. If you are interested to be interviewed for this podcast, please email us at NHIMA@gmail.com. That is NHIMA podcast@gmail.com. See you next time.